everybody, JC here with another T&I toy review. And today's review is in association with MarvelousNews.com, your #1 news source for everything Marvel. And for today's review, we're going to be taking a look at the upcoming Marvel Legends 6-inch Namor figure from Hasbro. Now this figure will be released as a Walgreens exclusive. It comes packaged in the same style packaging we've been seeing with all the Marvel Legends figures for 2016. You've got the black box, you've got the Legends series logo up at the top, the figure's clearly displayed in the window box packaging, and then down below you have the name of the character made to look like the old Namor comic book logo. Off to the sides we have artwork for the character, and then on the back of the packaging we have a look at the figure, a brief bio in multiple languages, and then down below we have a look at the figures in the Captain America Civil War Giant Man Build-A-Figure wave. Okay, so let's get this open and take a look at what's inside. Here's a look at the figure outside of the packaging along with the accessories. So first of all, the figure does come with the trident. Now if this looks familiar, it's because it's the same one that came with the Odin Build-A-Figure last year. So unfortunately, because this was made for a larger Build-A-Figure, I do think it comes off as a little bit too big for this figure. It's a little bit thick. It's kind of hard for him to hold it. It's best to get him to hold it in his left hand, and you do have to kind of pry the figures back in order to get it in there. But once you do, then he can hold it. He does hold it pretty tight, but again, it can be a little tricky. You can probably get it into the right hand as well, but again, I found it easier to get it into the left hand. I do like the paint applications. I do think it looks better than the one that came with Odin with the gold metallic paint, and then you've got the dark blue, and then the blade has been painted white. So I do like the paint on it. I just think it looks a little too big for this figure. Now if you collect like DC Aquaman figures, we've gotten various tridents over the years for that figure, including the more recently released Dawn of Justice Aquaman. So any of those would probably work pretty well if you wanted to have a trident with this figure that is more fitting. So besides the trident, he also comes with an extra pair of hands, and these hands are made for like swimming or flying, since Namor does fly. The fingers are straight out, and these look pretty good for the most part. Now there is some strange line work. These are probably, I'm sure these are probably reused from another figure, so I don't know if it's because they're repainted or something, but you do have these kind of strange lines on the hands. The figure itself looks pretty good. I believe this is the costume he was wearing at least up until the point of Secret Wars. I won't swear to it, but I think it is, with the blue highlights and the scaly line work to look like fish skin or something. But I do like how that looks. The costume's primarily black otherwise, and then you've got the gold metallic belt with the trident and the gold metallic wristbands. So I think that looks good. He's got the wings that are sculpted on the side, and these are kind of a rubber material. Got the little line work with the wings and everything. Then the face sculpt I think looks really good. It's probably the favorite thing about this figure to me. I like the ears. He's got the Vulcan-like ears, and I like the way the hair is sculpted. It's just a solid black color, but I like how it's sculpted, going backwards with the little points, and he's got the little piece of hair that comes over his eye. He's got the arching eyebrows, and I think the paint applications on the eyes themselves look good. And the skin tone is good. It's a nice kind of tan skin tone, so I like that. So overall, I would say the paint applications on this figure are pretty solid. So this new Namor figure does reuse some parts from the Grim Reaper mold, most notably with the upper arms and the legs. Those are from the Grim Reaper, and because he uses parts from the Grim Reaper as far as the arms, they do come off looking a little bit bigger on this figure, on this Namor figure, but for the most part it doesn't bother me too much. Now the torso section I believe is new. It's not the Grim Reaper, it's not the Bucky cap. It does have a hole on the back, but again I think this is a new torso section for this figure. It's got the collar that's attached around the neck, and that does limit some of the head movement, unfortunately, as far as looking back for swim poses. The lower arms are different from the Grim Reaper, and the feet are different as well. So this figure stands just about 6.5 inches tall. Here's a comparison with the old Toy Biz Namor figure, and you can see the Hasbro one's a little bit taller, and I definitely think this Hasbro figure is a nice update. This was a great figure for its time, but I think the Hasbro one is a nice update to it. Now I don't have the Hasbro one that was in the green Speedo. That figure was kind of bad, and I don't actually have that one to give you a comparison. for one final comparison, here's that multiverse figure from Mattel, the 6-inch Aquaman from the Dawn of Justice movie, and you can see these are pretty close to the same height with one another. So articulation on the figure is not too bad. The head is on a ball hinge joint, so he can look left and he can look right. The collar does limit a little bit of his head turning, but you can kind of lift his chin up and he can still turn it pretty far. He can look down good. Unfortunately, he can't really look back very much because of this collar, which is a little disappointing for like trying to get him into swim poses and such. Arms are attached with your standard ball hinge joint at the shoulder, so he can get his arm out good. He's got good rotation there. He's got the bicep swivel. He's got a double hinged elbow, so he can bend his elbow about that much. He's got the swivels at the wrist. He also has hinges on the hand, so he's got up and down movement with the hands. He's got an ab crunch type joint, so he can crunch down about that much, and he can look back pretty good. He's got a waist swivel. Legs are attached with ball joints, so he can only do the splits about that much. He can get his leg forward good. He can do his leg back about that much. He's got the thigh swivel. He's got the double jointed knee, so good bending at the knee. He's got a boot cuff swivel. He's got the hinges at the feet, so good up and down movement. And then he does have ankle pivot, even though the wings do limit a little bit of the pivot, but still pretty good. You can pivot it. And then he's got 2 peg holes on the bottom of his feet. Okay, so that's my review. Overall, I like this figure. I really like the face sculpt with it. I like the blue metallic paint on the suit. I think that pops nicely. My only real complaints with it is the head not being able to look back more for swim poses is a little disappointing. I don't like the trident. It's too big for the figure, but I don't really associate tridents that much with Namor, so it doesn't bother me too much. So this figure will be released as a Walgreens exclusive. I don't have a specific release date. I'm going to guess probably within the next month. I picked mine up from someone over in Hong Kong so I could review it early for you. And again, I don't have a specific release date. We'll have a full gallery of images up at marvelousnews.com. There will be a link in the description below. As always, leave a comment. Let us know what you think. If you're so inclined, please like the video. Also, if you haven't already, please follow me on either Facebook or Twitter. I'll have links to those pages in the description below as well. And until next time, I'll catch you later.